Melissa is a beautiful 14-year-old girl who lives in a small house with her mother and grandmother. Melissa's father is a petroleum engineer who works in India on an oil rig, and he can only return home once a year. Melissa's mother, Daria, does not pay a lot of attention to her daughter, and it is only her grandmother that cares for her, but she is a chain smoker and she is always sick. This life makes Melissa to spend most of her time alone, and she can't talk about her body and sexual desires to anyone. One day, she goes to a party that Danielle threw. Danielle is one of her high school friends that she has a huge crush on. She hopes to be with him one day, but because she is too shy, she can't say anything to him and just sits in a corner quiet. Danielle comes to her and they start talking. Danielle takes her with him to show the house to her, and then he takes her back of the house. Danielle's friend makes fun of him for taking Melissa to the back. There's a little garden back there, and Melissa is enjoying her conversation with the boy that he likes a lot, and Danielle suggests she should go there in his house every day. Melissa is excited but does not show it, but Danielle knows her way around girls and finds out that Melissa has a huge crush on him. Little by little, he talks about sexual things and wants to know if Melissa is a virgin or not. Now that he knows that Melissa is still a virgin, he wants to do whatever it takes to get in her pants. And knowing that Melissa has a huge crush on him, it shouldn't be that hard. Although Melissa sees that Danielle has no feelings for her and just wants to sleep with her, she doesn't step back and thinks that over time she can get Danielle to fall for her. Next day at school, she waits for Danielle, but he doesn't show up and doesn't call either. But Melissa can't stop thinking about him, and step by step, she sees that she is physically attracted to him. A few days later, Melissa finds out that Danielle is in a club. She takes her best friend with her, Manuela, and goes to see him. But when she arrives there, Danielle gives her the cold shoulder, and it's like he never met her. But Danielle's friend talked to him about Melissa and how hot she is, and so he thinks of abusing her again. He starts talking to Melissa and convinces her to go to his house, and there they sleep together. Melissa thinks that she is in a relationship, but Danielle just wants to have fun, and after they're done, he leaves her. This proves Melissa that Danielle just wants to take advantage of her, and there is no love. She is shocked and she returns home. Things inside the house are not going well either, because Daria wants the grandmother to leave and go somewhere else, and she can't take care of her anymore. She is the mother of her husband, not her mother. The grandmother accepts and leaves, and this makes Melissa to have a worse relationship with her mother than before. She is now lonelier than ever, and in school, others make fun of her for what happened between her and Danielle. They know that Danielle just wanted to sleep with her, and now everyone calls her names. Even Manuela blames her, and Melissa wants to prove her that all the men are the same and just want to take advantage of women. So, at the coffee house that they're in, she starts to act provocatively, and the man, who is now of course horny, gets up and approaches her. Melissa and Manuela get up laughing and leave, and on their way, Melissa is happy that she proved Manuela that all the men are the same, and Manuela agrees with her. When she gets home, her grandmother is there, and by looking at Melissa, she knows that there is something wrong. She talks to Daria and says that there is something wrong with Melissa, but Daria refuses to accept it. Then the grandmother herself talks to Melissa and talks about love and what happened to her as well. The next day, Daniel calls Melissa and says that he misses her, and also he has a surprise for her. Melissa folds again, thinking Daniel wants to apologize. She goes to his house, and there we see that Daniel invited one of his friends, Arnold, so they could have a threesome. Melissa wants to storm out, but Daniel stops her. She thinks of another way to get back at Daniel, and she tells Arnold that he should pretend that she is his girlfriend that night and she can have his way with her. The night is over, and the next day, Melissa tells Manuela of what happened that night, and she confesses that she enjoyed it. She experienced orgasm for the first time that night, She gets a notebook and writes down what she felt and how she felt that night. She writes that she feels like a grown woman now and wants to have other people's attention. The next day, she sees that her notebook is being handed over and over in his school, and she blames Manuela for this. And then she stops talking to her as well, and now she is really alone. Melissa goes to see her grandmother and sees a man looking at her grandmother with love and thinks to herself if she can ever get someone to look at her like that. The next day, she goes to a park and sees Marco there. Marco is another one of her high school friends who has a crush on Melissa. While they're talking, Arnold calls her and asks her to go to his house, and she goes there, no questions asked. When she arrives, she asks Arnold about Danielle, but Arnold says that he is not there. Then he takes Melissa to the basement, and there he blindfolds Melissa, and all of a sudden 4 other guys approach her. Arnold tells Melissa that now she is their whore and she has to have sex with all of them. This news spreads around this school, and there everyone calls her a whore, but she doesn't care anymore. She returns home and starts to write her sexual exploits on an adult website. And one of her readers tells her that it is easy to write imaginary stuff on the internet, and if she really means business, she should see him. Melissa agrees and goes to the address that the man left. It's a hotel. She talks to the receptionist, and the woman tells her that her dad reserved a room and waits for her. In the house, Daria accidentally finds Melissa's notebook, and she is shocked of what happened and what she reads inside it. When she calls Melissa, she doesn't pick up. Melissa enters the room and finds a letter on the bed. Choose one of the 3 dresses and wear it. While she is there, her grandmother dies. The man enters the room, but things get out of hand because this man likes it rough. He hits Melissa, and after they're done, Melissa returns home having a lot of bruises on her body, and on the way, she finds out that her grandmother is dead. As soon as she arrives home, Daria, who was waiting for her, starts talking to her, and she says that she is sorry for what happened. Daria promises Melissa things will change and she will give a lot more attention to her. A few months pass and Melissa is starting to get over of what happened to her. She is friends with Manuela again, and they go to see the results of their final exams. Marco talks to her and says that he has feelings for her, and then he shows her notebook, and inside it he drew a lot of pictures of her. And Melissa is finally happy that someone truly loves her. Daniel sees this and goes to talk to Melissa. He says that he regrets that he left her and he loves her. He says all the things that Melissa wanted to hear, but he never said. Then Daniel invites her to a party at his house again, like old times, and there he sees Danielle kissing Manuela. He wants to make Melissa jealous, but she can't take it anymore. She goes to the back of the house where she first talked for a long time to Danielle. Danielle and Manuela follow her and beg her to stop, and then she jumps off a cliff and kills herself. That's a recap of Melissa. Don't forget to like and subscribe for other recaps. Thanks. Bye.